I'm here behind the scenes today with a very special designer. John has been in business for 25 years.
Actually, over 25.
Oh, sorry. A little bit over 25 years, but we don't have to,
rounding error. It's okay.
You weren't even born yet.
Right.
So can you tell me, I guess, a little bit of how you got started?
I always wanted to be an artist, not necessarily a fashion designer. So I eventually found my way to art school in London on a scholarship. And while I was there, it was the early 80s, and fashion was just an incredible place. I mean, music, fashion, Boy George, the Culture Club, the Thompson Twins, Vivienne Westwood, punk, New Romantics.
Sandra Rhodes.
Xandra Rhodes.
Who I interned for.
I read that, yeah. I mean, it was just, it was overwhelming. And I got so into it that I was an art student by day, but then at night I started going clubbing with my friends, and every night was like a costume party. Yeah. Were you? I don't think you were even in high school yet, probably.
25 years ago? Was it 25 years
28
ago?
now, because for the art school part.
I was not in high school. But I did see Boy George DJ at the Ministry of Sound.
Oh, okay,
so
that's cool. That's bragging rights.
That is, that was cool. So I got the end of probably what you did, but I wish I was there with you.
So I started making these crazy brooches for myself and my friends, just out of found objects. At that point, I lived across the street from the Brick Lane Flea Market out in near Liverpool Street Station. And I was making them, and really thinking as an artist, I was making these sculptural brooches. And it just took off. People were asking about them. They wanted to buy them. The next thing I knew, I was selling to a local store, then two. Then I went to a better store, and the manager said, well, if you can figure out how to make them more professionally, I'd be interested, because at the time they were just things stuck in clay with a safety pin in the back. I'd pin it on. If you move too hard or fast, you know, they would fall out.
And I know that you're introducing a new line, which is called Circa.
Yes, Circa 1985, in honor of the year that I started Maximal Art.
Which is amazing. So that's really bringing in vintage feeling to it, but keeping it sort of modern and today.
Yeah, and the other big difference with Circa 1985 is the scale is much smaller. The John Wynn Maximal Art line has become more of a statement jewelry line, bigger, funkier pieces. Circa 1985 is like for the daughters of the moms who wear John Wynn.
Well, what was the first press piece that you had? Maybe you're covered in British Vogue.
That was it.
That was it, okay.
The store that I went to, that the guy said, if you can make it better, come back. He was very plugged into the British fashion world, the London fashion scene. So I did figure out how to make it better. Through the sculpture professor at the art school, I learned how to work with resin. And so I took that clay that I was sticking things in and replaced it with resin, where I laid my things in, and it was overnight it cured really hard. Someone told me about a place to buy pinbacks and earring wires, and just the findings of the jewelry world. I went back. He's like, okay, you're on, let's try it. And the next thing I knew, I was at the Hyper fashion show during London Fashion Week. British Vogue was excited by what they saw, and there was a 4-page beauty spread of hair and makeup with my brooches on these turbans wound around the head, and these gorgeous earrings. And I was still a student. Amazing. I mean, it was really amazing.
So what is your favorite part of the job?
My favorite part of the job is what it was when I started. It's physically making jewelry. I just love it. I love assembling. I'm really a collage artist, so to me it's about combining materials in creative ways. Sometimes, many years ago it was these enormous things with springs and toys and chains. Now it's much more refined, but it's still a collage of materials, and I just love that the juxtapositions and the storytelling that happens.
Did you have a fashion crush or a muse?
And it's more about the artistic process than a particular look, but Yves Saint Laurent has always been one of my really great heroes and inspirations. The fact that he took a very conservative and staid fashion world and just went crazy with it and invented something brand new and ready to wear. And then also the fact that he and his partner in life and business, Pierre Berger, they were like the first out gay superstar couple back in the 60s. And Saint Laurent and Berger were so influential in helping me perceive what I could dream of
You mentioned something about Andy Warhol, and I'm fascinated by Andy Warhol. So tell me a little bit more.
Through a completely unexpected art school connection, a friend of a friend, her father commissioned Warhol to do a portrait of her for her 21st birthday, one of those gorgeous silkscreen celebrity photo portraits, but not of a celebrity, just of a rich girl. And she came to New York from London to during the summer, in between my 2 years in art school, and I was here, and she invited me to come with her. So we went to Warhol's studio together. I dressed up in this green and blue plaid suit that I bought at Camden Market in London.
That's awesome.
And when we went in there, she went off to makeup, but Warhol was photographing all these guys who had been at a party at Area the night before for Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Amazing.
He'd been.
Should we all sit back and have a cocktail?
Yeah.
Imagine that moment. Yeah.
So they're
walking around.
Yeah. So Mondo Uomo, an Italian men's fashion magazine, had commissioned Warhol to document that evening, and he hadn't taken enough photographs. So his handlers went around inviting guys who had been at Area the night before to come to the factory the next day to be photographed and to keep the party going. And I just happened to be there and look the part because I had my cool suit on. So he photographed me.
So how do you decompress or relax? Does that ever happen? Are you always thinking about the business even when you are on a vacation? Or do you kick back and have a glass of wine every night?
I do. And I meditate every day. Before I leave work, I meditate for about half an hour, and it's just an amazing way to clear my head and start, the evening part of the day. And then also I still do fine art, collage work and sculpture, and I do that on weekends or the occasional Friday I'll take off. And that's because I don't have customers to think about in the fine art, it gets to be more personal, and it's kind of
nice, right?
It rejuvenates me.
I wanted to surprise John with a little something that I found in my archives. That
what?
Is a charm necklace
oh
that
my God.
my mom used to manufacture and bring back from Taiwan, and I used to sell to girls in 3rd and 4th grade.
This is fabulous.
So it's sort of like Marc Jacobs brought back something like this for the club kids in the 90s. So I thought, club boy, club girl.
It's very club kid.
Yeah.
I would have worn this in the 90s.
It's amazing.
Not so much now.
Right,
It's cool.
I want to thank you all for being with us today. I hope you learned about a new designer that you might have not known about, or you're excited to see John, who you've been researching about all these years. And if you want to follow John on any of its platforms,
best thing is to go to maximalart.com.
maximalart.com.
It's all there. And Circa 1985 has its own social media platform as well.
Got it. So you can find that all on maximalart.com.
Yep.
Thank you so much, John, for
Stacy,
being
it was
here.
a pleasure. Thank you.
I can't wait to go have cocktails after this with him to ask him about his life in the past 25 years even more. So thank you so much.